Hey there Trekkies, my name is Michael aka the TrekLad and welcome back to my channel. I have just got done watching Discovery's third season, 5th episode, Die Trying, and I've got some thoughts. All in all, highly satisfying episode. While I think last week's episode was probably the show's best from a technical perspective, I think this week's episode is probably my favourite. It's got a lot of rewatchability, it's got a lot of rewatch value, and all in all I think that it did an awful lot and I was quite satisfied with pretty much everything that it tried to do in the episode. So personally, I don't know if it's the best from a technical perspective, but there was a lot in here for me to enjoy, and for that reason I think it's my favourite episode of the bunch, and by default I think by extension the best of Discovery so far. So let's talk about the stuff that I enjoyed. I mean, it's gonna be most of it. I really like the introduction or the reintroduction of Starfleet and the Federation. I thought it was handled really well. Starfleet and the Federation feel very different to what we're used to, very different and completely different technology. Although I saw similarities, I saw things that I felt familiar for me. So when they enter into the space, like a weird space dock, region of space anyway, it's exactly how I imagined it, fun enough. But when they enter and you kind of see all of this electrical current flowing through and you see it all filtered down to a basin. I don't know if I'm making sense here, but it looked very similar to the classic scene in Star Trek 3 where it felt kind of very like space docky, and I really enjoyed it. So it felt very different yet very familiar at the same time. I'm totally there for it. The other thing I really liked was the complexity of the situation. Now, a lot of people were looking at this week's Admiral, played brilliantly by Oded Fehr, who's a favourite of mine, and it's great to see him on TV. But a lot of people thought that Oded Fehr was going to be this kind of Badmiral character, and I can see why people might think he's a Badmiral, because he was basically telling the Discovery crew what they didn't want to hear. But you kind of have to understand that they're attempting to operate within boundaries and rules and regulations and that kind of stuff, and he even quoted it, essentially, well, a re-quote of the rules of the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, and he used that. So it kind of makes sense that he was going to requisition Discovery and do all the things that he was trying to do, but he came around in the end, just kind of showing that Discovery can do things, you know, more than just good versus bad. You know, there is grey levels in this, and I really appreciated what they did, and I really liked that Admiral character, and I hope that we see more Oded Fehr going forward. I also really liked the continued use of the bridge crew, the ensemble, and here the use, rather than them being characters that are going to be fleshed out, because I now have faith that Discovery is going to do that, I really liked the use of the characters as trained professionals, as bridge crew, doing the jobs that they are supposed to be doing. And we saw that with Burnham's mission to go and get the seeds. Very slick bridge crew, and probably the best use of the characters as trained professionals in the show to date. Really liked that. Another thing that I really liked was the show's use of technobabble. Now, I know that's come under critique in the past, but the thing is I think that the show has kind of learnt from its past mistakes of, you know, I like science and all that kind of stuff. And there was a bit of technobabble in this as they're attempting to ascertain what exactly happened on the seed station, and the way they were able to describe it, they were giving you that scientific exposition, but then they were adding a lot of layman's terms to it as well. And that's something that I think Discovery has always struggled with. So it was really good to see them kind of chuck a load of technobabble at you, but then go, oh, but that's what it means if you don't quite get it. Because I'm a dummy. It's really important that they explain this stuff to me, and I felt they did a really good job of doing that. Probably the best they've done in the show so far. I liked both the A plot and the B plot this week. I think they both worked really well. Sometimes I struggled to understand exactly what the A plot and the B plot were, which one was which, but I think for the most part, I think the A plot was going to the seed station, recovering that to help the aliens that were at Starfleet headquarters, and as a result of that storyline, we had some wonderful exposition for Nhan, and also for the Benzans. Is it the Benzans? The Barzans, there we go. Really well done. Again, Discovery shines when it handles emotional material, and you know, it's an emotional show. It's perfect for us emo Trek fans. And another fantastic use of emotions in Discovery. I will talk about Nhan in a second though. Spoilers, maybe. But overall, I felt that both the A plot and the B plot felt very Star Trek, both in the complexities, the grey matter that we were talking about, and also this kind of, there's something going on, is it evil? No, it's not evil. We just didn't understand it at the time. Very, very Star Trek, really, really liked it. Some other little bits that I really, really enjoyed. There's a lot that I enjoyed, but that's off the bat. So Wilson Cruz continues to be, I think, my favourite Doctor in Star Trek history now. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but he balances scientific, healing properties. He's got a heart of gold, very empathetic, and the last 2 episodes he's really helped drive a lot of the resolution in the episodes. He is the heart of Discovery, and just terrifically played by Wilson Cruz. So Hugh Culber, big thumbs up. I also have to mention, because when I was watching it, I was just kind of like pinching myself going, is this really happening? But David Cronenberg, of all people, is in Star Trek, and I am there for David Cronenberg in Star Trek. Now, it's a very small role, but very, very pivotal, and I'm gonna have to go and rewatch this because the whole Giorgio element of this episode had me a little confused, I'll be honest. I'm gonna have to go and rewatch it, but I really liked Giorgio and David Cronenberg's character having this kind of mental gymnastics warfare, who's playing who. I really loved it, and it was really smartly written as well. And sometimes I think critics of the show, and I've critiqued it in the past, I think the dialogue has sometimes been a bit too simplistic, but no, not here. They were really smart, really zippy in its writing, and had me very, very impressed. And also considering the fact that David Cronenberg hasn't been in any TV productions on screen in like 30 years, he didn't look like he'd missed a step at all. Just goes to show that the people behind the camera can do it just as well, on camera as well. And just David Cronenberg, he's in Star Trek. Yes. By extension, Giorgio's development, obviously we saw at the end, she's stoic and static and unresponsive. Very, very interesting. I wonder if they're setting up her return back in time, potentially to set up the Section 31 story. But she didn't bug the hell out of me this week, which is great. Very, very important that. Very important that I take all of these characters, and very interesting to see what happens. You know, that's another mystery that Discovery has kind of brought to us now. I feel like it's fine though, because we've had answered questions. We know the state of Starfleet and the Federation and Earth now. So now more questions are coming up. You know, what's that music all about? What's going on with Giorgio? It's questions that are now going to propel the story forward, because we have some answers to some of our early questions, and it makes sense now that we go forward and we've got that overarching, what is the burn? Because that's still the big question, that's still the big mystery. And I think it'd be great if they perhaps didn't even answer that by the end of this season. Perhaps that's something that we get answered later on in the show. Who knows? Also, Jet Reno's back. Big thumbs up. Always happy to have Jet Reno back. She's Space Mum. Got a lot of time for her. And finally, the final good bit is obviously that wonderful, wonderful nod to the legendary Admiral Nog. Let's call him Admiral Nog, but Nog just gets his own ship, and a wonderful tribute to Aaron Eisenberg as well, and just beautiful, just beautiful. Such a subtle reference. It doesn't have to be on the nose. It would have been really easy for them to have done that. But no, they did it nice and subtle, and it was there for the diehards to go, yes! And it was just tremendous. And you know, people who criticise Discovery as being they don't care about Star Trek, just watch this episode. Just watch it. I mean, the Nog reference is just one of many references in this episode alone that really shows that the people who are writing it, and the people who are, you know, stewarding this franchise at the moment, they do care. They do care, absolutely they do. Let's talk about the one thing that I didn't like from this week's episode, because there's only one thing. There's only one thing, and that was Nan's departure. I think this is something that not only Discovery does, but it's something that a lot of other contemporary shows do, is when they are getting ready for a character to depart, then they'll finally give them a backstory. We saw it last season with Arium, and I like to call it the Walking Dead effect. I don't know if this is what everybody calls it, but I remember in season 2 or 3 of The Walking Dead when T-Dog finally got some development and finally started speaking up, and then he gets killed like 5 minutes later. As soon as I see a character get build up, as soon as I see a character get some sort of development, they're gone. And I didn't like to see it, because I mean, I love the fact that they gave Nan some story and they gave her some development. They were finally able to move her away from that god-awful yum yum line, and the next minute she's off. I will say that her departure was a beautiful one, and some wonderful shots of her in and amongst the vegetation of the station. But yeah, I mean, as soon as I saw her get some development, I was like, it's time to say goodbye to that character. So she gets a good send-off, but it's very kind of transparent what they were doing with the character, and I think that's my only down. Die Trying, I think, is my favourite episode of Discovery to date, of all of them. I'm really looking forward to going back and rewatching it. A really good balance of the A plot, the B plot, complex writing. It feels to me like Star Trek Discovery is a completely different show to what we saw in seasons 1 and 2. Dare I say, it's going through a renaissance. I am giving Star Trek Discovery's Die Trying 4 Starfleet Deltas out of 5. What did you think of this episode? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more content like this coming at you very soon. Until then, I'm Michael, aka the TrekLad. You're awesome, stay safe, live long and prosper. I'll see you soon.